Hey guys, what's going on? I'm here at Port Adelaide Football Club with the Powers nutritionist, Andrew Rondinelli. Going to have a little bit of a chat about nutrition when it comes to AFL footballers and exactly how they go about their nutrition with off-season, pre-season, game day as well. Andrew, how do you go about actually planning an AFL player's nutrition regime?
Yeah, so it's obviously based on their few factors: their age, training load, their needs. So what position, whether they're a first year or an older player, and then from there we sit down and we obviously work with the strength coach and as well as myself and work whether they need to put on weight, whether there's a recovery focused, injury prevention, so guys in rehab, position. So midfielders might be wanting to go and play in the back line next year, so you've got to adjust their diet to increase their muscle mass. There's a number of factors, not just the one. So yeah.
Yep. And how does an AFL player's nutrition regime change from, say, off-season to the season?
Yeah, so like as their training load changes, so from doing more skills or more running to doing less running and more of a recovery focus, we alter their diet in that way. So that could be introducing fewer carbohydrates and more protein for that recovery. Someone in rehab, for example, who's trying to regenerate that muscle, will obviously need that extra protein, so we'll making sure that they're ticking all those boxes from a recovery point of view. Mm-hmm.
And I guess really on macronutrients, what kind of macronutrient split is quite typical for an AFL player in terms of, you know, percentage of protein, percentage of carbs, percentage of fats?
Yeah, I think I suppose in the last 10 years that it's changed quite a bit. Originally, carbohydrate was the go-to for most of, whenever people talk about recovery, whereas now it's a big protein focus, and you can probably add a little bit of fat to that as well. So I think it's we promote a very high protein diet, and then you monitor your carbohydrate intake depending on the time of the week as well as the training load and recovery status.
And I guess the Optimum nutrition supplements, in particular their protein powders, helps the players a lot in reaching their daily protein macronutrient requirement.
Yeah, definitely. So as a minimum, they all have to get their 20 grams of protein in post-session, whether that's a skill or running or a weight session, and then obviously there's guys who need carbohydrate added to that as well, just to get that extra kilojoule or energy intake in. So yeah, it's very personalised approach to their supplements post-training, post-games.
And how does the kind of macronutrient intake and timing, I guess, change from, you know, a normal day during the season to an actual game day during the season?
Yeah, so obviously game day, the carbohydrates pretty important part of it, so that's pre and post, and it's also quite important to have your protein as you would in a weight session before a game as well as protein after a game. So ideally the theories are the same, so obviously 20 grams, but then the quantity also is altered as well.
And apart from the protein powders that you guys are getting supplied by Optimum Nutrition, what other supplements really are quite important from a nutrition standpoint for AFL footballers?
Yeah, so basically tick all the boxes. Obviously we have a high quality protein. Creatine's another good supplement. Beta-alanine is really good. Vitamins, so men's multivitamins, fish oils, and there's a few other things which can help reduce inflammation, can aid tissue repair, aid joints. So a lot of guys who have tendon issues, we can give them some different supplements. But yeah, we do keep it pretty basic. So your protein's your number one. That ticks the box. Most guys standard is have that, and then there's other little factors that we get them to have as well.
Yeah. And what part of an AFL footballer's nutrition regime would you say would be the most important part, or what parts are the most important aspects of their regime?
Yeah, so definitely just a general good diet. So taking away supplements, just ensuring you're having lean cuts of meats, plenty of veggies, plenty of fruit, so you don't miss valuable training through injury or through illness. But then also, when training is increased, obviously when they're turning 18 or 17, 19, introducing into a higher training load, that's where supplements can be used to aid that recovery or increase that energy requirements.
And you mentioned earlier that a lot of the players take creatine as well. I think a misconception out there, especially in the supplement industry, is that creatine is going to help you bulk up and put on a lot of unnecessary muscle mass. You haven't found that with AFL players?
Definitely. Like our core midfield group who, they might average 90 kilos, obviously need to stay pretty lean because they need to cover, 13, 14 Ks a game. Most of them on creatine for the purpose of increasing their power output, so it can obviously help in the gym, but then also help out on the field as well. And then it can also be used as higher doses for a lot of the bigger guys who, ruckman, key forwards, who are high-powered athletes and they just need that repeat effort in their game.
Is there anything else apart from protein and creatine that you find is quite vital for AFL footballers in terms of increasing performance or recovery?
In regards, no, obviously, protein is probably the most vital. Obviously, staying hydrated, so making sure they're hydrated. We obviously promote caffeine intake pre-exercise, so that's before weights, before games. That's quite important. But yeah, I think we, if you keep it basic, you generally tick all the boxes. Yeah.
And a lot of young aspiring footballers look up to Port Adelaide players and the club and what you guys do behind the scenes. What would you really kind of give them in terms of direction with regards to nutrition?
Yeah, so definitely, as I mentioned, obviously a really clean diet. So quite low fat. Obviously, no fried foods. Plenty of veggies, plenty of fruit. For a growing athlete, so obviously carbohydrates important. So eating your rice, your grains, quality cereals. Lean meat, so try and get the lean cuts of meat, so lean steak, lean chicken. And I think if you're doing all them things right, then you can probably start looking at adding some supplements. And I think obviously, they come in on your website or come into your store, there's quite a good range there and you can point them in the right direction. But the main thing is they are ticking all those points.
It's fantastic to hear. One thing that we always promote as well at Massive Joe's, and Optimum Nutrition do it also, is supplements are only ever going to make 10 to 20% difference, and they're called supplements for a reason. You have to have your diet down pat for them to work.
Yeah, definitely. I like to use the, if you think of a cupcake, so you got your core cupcake being good nutrition plan, and then the supplements be that little cherry on top that can get you that extra percent. That's a good way of thinking about it, I think.
Well, there you have it, guys. Andrew Rondinelli, the nutritionist from the Port Adelaide Power Football Club, giving you the lowdown on how AFL players go about their nutrition. Andrew, thank you very much. All the best for the season. And I'm coming to you from massivejoes.com.